Hey there, crypto enthusiasts. Welcome back to our channel where we decipher the complexities of the crypto world for you. If you're new here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, ring the bell notification, and so you'll never miss any updates. Today we have a very special episode for you. Settle in, kick back, let's go. The hot topic that's going to be starting quite a stir in the crypto sphere, you heard it here first. That's right. The first time in history, we are on the verge of witnessing a golden cross on Bitcoin's weekly chart. So get ready for a deep dive into this phenomenal event and what it could mean for your Bitcoin holdings. Before we get started, I do want to say this is just for your research, just for your information. People are going to be talking about this sooner rather than later. We're going to look at when this cross is coming, what that might mean, and the history briefly of previous crosses that we've seen on the Bitcoin chart. So before we delve into these details, let's break down what a golden cross is. It's very simple. It is a basic technical analysis signal. It occurs when a short-term moving average crosses above a long-term moving average, indicating a potential bullish turn in the market. In this instance, and what is officially a golden cross, you use the 50 and 200 moving averages. This is a big deal when it happens, because in the crypto market, a golden cross in the weekly chart has never before happened on Bitcoin. We have seen actually for the first time a death cross, which is the opposite of a golden cross, happen earlier this year in February, before price had retaken its 200 weekly moving average at around 24.7. This is considered, when it happens, a bullish cross, a strong buying momentum signal, and a start of a new uptrend potentially. This is history in the making, folks. Whether it happens sooner or later, it is coming and it is historic. And that's really what I wanted to bring you guys today, giving you the first glimpse of this. So I have a chart pulled up here, has some pretty colors on it. Let's dig a little deeper and answer, how does this affect you as an investor? Well, if you're a long-term investor, a golden cross is definitely considered, or at least potentially, an area for you to think about adding more Bitcoin to your portfolio and at what price. It might indicate the start of a substantial bull run. Remember, past performance is not indicative of future results, so always do your own research before making any investment decision. And that's really what I hope you can do with the information that I give you on this stream. This isn't about charts or numbers necessarily. It's about sentiment. A golden cross can show investors are bullish about the future performance of Bitcoin or an asset. It is a strong vote of confidence in this digital asset and the technology behind it. Keep in mind though, the crypto market is volatile, and while a golden cross is a bullish sign, it is always crucial to balance optimism with a sensible investing strategy. So I'm going to get into the actual chart now. Back in February, we had the death cross, and as we zoom in here, I have three zones highlighted for you. Blue basically saying the trend is up and things are going well. In fact, Bitcoin's price hanging out in the blue zone here likely will lead to a cross earlier than is currently projected out. Below that is a green zone. The green zone is an area where if price does sell off to, we're going to hope to find support, and that's specifically above the 50 daily or weekly moving average, and we see that in yellow here. Hanging out here is not the best, and if we do trade down to it, we would hope to see some kind of buying and bouncing to really drive home this cross and hopefully make it happen earlier. Below that is a red zone. This is below the 50 weekly, and if that price point is lost, currently sitting at 23K, this cross then becomes a little trickier. If it remains below the 50 weekly, we will see the weekly, or the yellow moving average here, start to bend down away from the 200. This would be a very bearish sentiment, a very bearish signal to happen, as it would almost be a rejection of a golden cross. Now we are able to kind of extrapolate out how far away this will happen. And this is very much experimental. This is just for our own curiosity. And what it seems like is at the current rate. So if Bitcoin stays basically in the range it's been in from 31.5-ish above the 200 down to 26.7, if it stays in the blue or green zones, we're likely to see this cross happen at a very interesting time. roughly estimating it, we see that that would be like the first week in 2024 in January. It is far away. This is a weekly chart, so all of the signals that we're going to find here are going to be lagging. They're going to take a long time to play out simply because of all of the data that we're using to calculate this. So at the moment, with no changes, if Bitcoin trades sideways for the rest of the year, we're going to be looking into the first week of January next year for this golden cross and this potential bullish signal. It's very exciting as a chart nerd. I love this stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy this as well. So you may have heard golden cross and death cross before on Bitcoin, and you're thinking, how is Tom saying that this is the first time? I've heard this before. Well, you're correct and incorrect at the same time. We have seen numerous death crosses and golden crosses on Bitcoin's daily chart. We've never seen one on the weekly chart. And so this, my phone just rang. We've never seen one on the weekly chart. And so we want to take a look really quick. What has happened in the past? What are these significant or not? And if you look on the daily, we may say not as correlated to prices we may have sought. So looking back at the most recent daily crosses, we had one in February, around the time where we had the death cross on the weekly. These happened simultaneously early February. Price did continue up after pulling back to 19.5. It did continue the uptrend. So this golden cross on the day, okay. The previous death cross was actually all the way back in January of 22. This was at 48.2 thousand, and Bitcoin clearly entered a downtrend after this signal painted. So these two are pretty decent, but if we continue to go back, we're going to find that these aren't really as great indicators as we hope or we'd like. Before that, in September, we did rally to a new all-time high. However, you go back to June and you start seeing these aren't playing out quite as well. In June of 21, we had a death cross on the day. Price did put in a lower low, but very muted. Almost didn't. I would say a fraction of a percent lower. As we continue back, we start to see them be way less correlated. It seems as if death crosses right off of a bull market top tend to play out consistently, and golden crosses at the bottom of a bear market tend to play out pretty well as in addition. But then in between, it gets a little more choppy. In 2019, these were not really the greatest signals. We had a golden cross on the day right before the March 2020 crash. That would not have been a great time to look for a long position or to really trust this signal. So I'm not going to go over every single one, but something I did want to look at or point out quickly is in February of 2012, over 10 years ago, Bitcoin had its first daily golden cross. Right back here. Daily golden cross. That happened at $5.60. Afterwards, Bitcoin did not cross again all the way for 2 more years at the height of the bull run top. So the first time this happened, it was a very confident signal. Is that going to be the same for the weekly? Your guess is as good as mine. For all the really chart nerds out there, I wanted to show this. So when we think about a 200 weekly moving average and a 50 moving average, I find that it's valuable to visualize this. Now there's a lot on this chart and it might be confusing to some, but I hope to break this down a little bit easier. So the 200, let's start with that. The green moving average here is the average candle close of the last 200 weekly candles. If we go back, we'll find that 200 weeks ago was in August of 2019. What's interesting is as our weeks progress forward, we're actually seeing those candles move down and the higher candles behind it get dropped off the calculation. This is suggesting from August until March of 2020 that we have lower candles coming in and dropping higher candles behind us. That's going to put downside pressure on the 200 weekly moving average. Because it's such a large data set, it's unlikely to have a very visible or exaggerated effect on the chart or on the moving average, but it is something to keep in mind. We have roughly 28 candles to go until we get to the bottom of March of 2020. At that point, we'll see very strong upside pressure. Maybe this will help you visualize, as we'll only be using the candles after the March 2020 crash. As these move up, that's adding to that average. That's pushing that number up. So we have 28 weeks, and what's interesting is that pushes us out to a really similar or really coincidental time. Roughly the first week of January of 2024, we see that the March 2020 candles will be dropped, and we'll start to only have these higher bull market candles in the picture, and that's going to put upside pressure on the 200 weekly. If we look at the 50 weekly, same thing, except we're only looking 50 weeks back, and right here is that box. So these are contrasting. The 50 weekly actually just dropped off June 2020's candles and has roughly 8 weeks to continue dropping lower candles until it reaches August's high, where it begins to drop again. So we can infer that there's going to be some kind of bullish pressure on the 50, which is good. We want that to happen for it to come cross above the 200. But after 8 weeks, we start to lose those higher candles, and it won't be for another 17 weeks do we see the potential bear market low at 15.5 finally get dropped off of this calculation. That would put, let's see, August of this summer, midsummer is when we'll see that happen. I hope that this has been a good explanation, or a clear explanation, of what is inevitably going to be talked about a lot as this approaches sooner. That's what we do on this channel. We get you the cutting edge of technical analysis, and we try to grab things first. A lot of people have been rejecting this idea of that hasn't happened yet. It's a lagging indicator. By the time it happens, it's not valuable. That's why I'm bringing this to you early, so that you have time to plan, to consider, and make your own decisions. I'm not trying to push you guys bullish or bearish either way. My bias, I think, is apparent to everyone who views this channel, but I just wanted to drop some alpha here on Monday. Thanks guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share the stream out. Let's go, fam. Jump in the Discord.